Shabak, Shabak. Well, this is a South Korean word, and basically, Sha, the first part of the word, means car. Back means place. So basically, a car place, a camper van, a camper car, whatever you want to call it. And this is exactly what this car is in terms of how spacious it is. It's what's inspired what this car, the Hyundai Santa Fe, is all about. And obviously, it's a South Korean word, which is relative to the fact that Hyundai is what? South Korean. Basically, welcome to the school of GadgetsBoy Tommy in the new Hyundai Santa Fe. Anyway, I digress. Basically, I'm out in Wales right now, just driving around, testing out this car. And I'm actually going to be staying in this car while I'm out here because that's what this whole thing is about, Shabak, you know? And also, this is a car that's has a lot of inspiration from the time of the year. If anyone remembers that year, I wouldn't say what word it is, where we all couldn't go anywhere. It was lockdown, we had to stay inside the house and all that kind of stuff. And due to this way of life, way of living, the South Koreans took their cars out in the wild and just, you know what, they just took some time out, went camping just to enjoy themselves and, you know, just to have a bit of peace, you know, peace and quiet and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about this car, this 7-seater. What we're going over this cattle thing. Okay, let's talk about this car. This is the Hyundai Santa Fe. It's honestly one of the most successful cars for Hyundai. It's done really well for them. It's done numbers. You're talking more than 5 million cars, I think. Don't quote me on that. But they've sold millions across the world, and this has got a big fan base. And this 5th generation, they've changed it in so many ways. Even though it's got the same underpinning as the predecessor, this is longer, it's bigger, it's got a whole different design when it comes to what the outside of the car looks like. And even on the inside, they've changed it in such a way that it's full of tech. It's just been modernized to look and feel so much more premium and better. So let's start with the design on the outside. So this is the ultimate version. It comes in 3 different trim levels and 3 different powertrain options as well. So the trim levels are the premium, the ultimate, and the calligraphy version as well, which is an interesting name. I love that word, by the way. And then in terms of powertrain, they all have 1.6 turbo engine in the UK, and we have a hybrid one, which is we have a 2-wheel drive option and a 4-wheel drive option, and there's also a plug-in hybrid version, which is also 1.6 litre turbo. So that's the powertrain options you have. In terms of configuration in the car, they're all 7-seaters by default, but there's also an opportunity to get the 6-seater option as well, which means you can then configure the back seat for a captaincy and all that kind of stuff. But in the UK, those are the options that you're going to be getting. We're also going to be having 20-inch alloys here in the UK compared to maybe some other parts of the world where you might get 21-inch option and some smaller options as well. We'll talk about how that affects your driving and the experience later on in the video. But let's go back to the design of the car. You will notice that this is a very boxy car. And by the way, I'm so sorry I'm doing this whole thing from inside the car because it's raining. Unfortunately, it's not that nice outside. So I thought, you know what, let's get in the car and talk about this instead and drive as we talk about it. So yeah, so this is a very boxy car. It's got an interesting design and look to the whole setup. So if we look at the front of the car, for example, the headlights have this small detail. I say small, but the LED headlights have that H logo, basically lettering on the front, which I'm assuming stands for Hyundai and also maybe hybrid, who knows, but it's definitely Hyundai. But I think it makes it stand out in a crowd of so many cars like this on the road in terms of SUVs. You got a Hyundai logo on the bonnet as well. It's very tall, it's got bold stance to it as well. And then you move to the side, you got those 20-inch alloys, you got the black cladding on it as well. I love the mixture of color. This color, I don't know the official name, but this is like the olive green kind of color. It goes with the whole bold look of the car, which I think it works really well. Comes in other options as well, like white. I've seen like a grey looking one, and this is like copper colorway as well, which honestly, it just means you have plenty of options available in terms of colors that you can get for this. If you go for the calligraphy version, there's also an extra thing that you can have on the C-pillar on the back, which is something that you can grab hold onto. So when you need to mount stuff on the roof rails, you can just grab on onto that as you get up onto the car, lift yourself up and stuff. It's not on this particular version here, unfortunately. And then we go to the back of the car, and this is where things look a bit different. It might split decisions here because I think it looks okay, but it's just the way that the lights are placed. It's placed all the way to the bottom of the car, and this also has that H lettering again in the LED lights that you get in the tail lights. You got power tailgates as well. But one thing about having that light right to the bottom is if you have cars behind you that are quite that's sitting up maybe lower or too high, for example, what you get is they can't see when you indicate sometimes, because I was actually behind another one of these cars as we're driving to this location, and I couldn't see when it indicated, but I could tell that he was indicating by looking at his mirrors, because you can still see the light popping on his wing mirror. So that was quite interesting to notice. On the back as well, I love the way they've tucked in the wipers. It's neatly tucked away so you don't really see it when it's not in use, and it's got the camera there as well for the digital head mirror that we've got here. So it's a really nice setup in terms of the look and design. I love the Boxer look. I think it's different, and they've even managed to get the aerodynamic drag coefficient number below 3, you know, which is incredible for a Boxer car. This is like 0.296 or 93 or something. Numbers will be on the screen, but they've managed to get a decent amount of a drag coefficient number out of it without compromising on that Boxer look of the car. But that's pretty much in terms of the design. What do you guys think? I don't mind the Boxer look, but on the back though, I'm not a massive fan of the design on the back at all. Let's get inside of the car though. Talking about the room in the car for your passengers, if we start with the middle row, we have plenty of space for your knees, we have plenty of space for your feet to tuck in. Whether you sat in the middle, whether you sat on the right side or left side, you've got plenty of space to play with. You can move the seat forwards and backwards. You can recline the backrest as well, which is pretty cool. It just means you can be as comfortable as you want to be. You have USB-C ports placed on the back, well, on the side of the front passenger seat. So the middle passengers can also charge their devices on the go. So no one is going to be lacking when it comes to charging up your phones or tablets, whatever it is you're charging. And then we have cup holders as well for them on the armrest, which means, again, just ultimate level of comfort for your long journeys and road trips, which is pretty cool. If we go all the way to the back, to the third row, the level of space or room that you get for your knees or your feet depends on the passengers in front of you if they allow it. So if they move all the way to the back in terms of reclining, it means you get no knee room at all. But if they move it forward just a tad bit and a bit more, you get plenty of knee room for long journeys. Your knees will be slightly raised up high, so that's something to bear in mind, but that's also okay, especially in this kind of car. It's 7-seater, so you also have your sunroof as well that's panoramic, which means you get a sense of more space in the car for those long journeys. But I also love that you just get that heated seats as well. So again, the premium level in this car is very high. It's top tier in terms of the level of tech, the level of just things that you get with this level of this trim level and the packaging altogether. If we look at the boot space, we have plenty of boot space in there as well. Again, I leave all numbers on the screen so you guys can follow along. And also, you can just fold the seats down by using the buttons on the back. So with that, you can raise those third row seats. You can lay them flat. And then the middle row as well, you can lay them all the way flat as well. So you have plenty of room to even put an inflatable mattress in there if you like for your road trips. That way you can just lay there, enjoy your time, and it's just fantastic. It's just a lovely setup in this car, plenty of space. And even if you put all the seats back, you still have enough space to still store things for your journey as well. One thing that's amazing is when you raise the boot lid, it's got a massive aperture to store things. In fact, the designers were saying you can get your golf club stuff, like, you know, the bag, you can just shove it in there upright. That's how large the aperture is in terms of opening, and they've used this hydraulic system as well for it. So it's kind of interesting to see that in this kind of setup. But yeah, plenty of space in this car and plenty of tech as well, which just summarizes what Hyundai is all about. Over in the front cabin, it's very premium here. It's got loads of tech, plenty of things to talk about here actually. So if we start from the left of the front cabin, I love some of this wooden material finishing that they've got going on here. We have Bose sound system here as well. We have head-up display, and we have two 12.3-inch display. That's all in a single unit. So you have the instrument cluster and the infotainment system as well. Starting from the left of the front cabin though, we see how we've got three compartments. So the top layer is one that you can open and store things that you want to put away. You don't want anyone to see that anything's in there. I love the button as well. It's kind of discreet. I love the stitching all around the car as well. Before I digress away, let's talk about the seat. Actually, the seat looks absolutely amazing as well. I love the finishing on it. It's got ventilation and heated functionality as well. So keep your buttocks nice and toasty in the winter. But back to those compartments though, and then we'll look below that. There's another tray where you can quickly chuck things like your phone if you wish to do so. And below that is your regular glove compartment. Like I say, we have head-up display in here as well, which you can adjust. You can add different things in there as well. The head mirror is also digital, which you can flick on and off if you prefer. But the usefulness of that means that if you have someone that's tall in the back, bearing in mind it's a 7-seater, it means you can have your back view still there using the camera that's placed on the back. I couldn't spot any way that the camera can be cleaned by itself or self-cleaning or anything like that. So you might have to clean that every now and then just to keep it nice and clear for when you need to use that digital mirror. Moving below the infotainment display, we have some functionality here for your climate control system. These are all touch control. And then we have some buttons there for like home, search, media, setup, etc. Your knob is still there, rotary dial rather, for climate control if you want to change the temperature as well. And then if we look below here, this is actually quite cool. We have a dual wireless charging that's also cooled in this trim level. This is not a calligraphy, this is the ultimate trim level, which means you do still get some of the cool stuff in here that's just above the premium level. So like I was saying, you have this dual charging mat here, but what's pretty cool about this is when you place your device on it, like my iPhone 15 Pro Max to charge, we have this light here that also indicates when it's charging and when it's fully charged. So when it's fully charged, that will go all the way up and stay fully lit, so you know that your phone is fully charged. And it's also cooled as well, so your phone is not going to overheat. We then have also two USB-C ports here. Obviously, one will support just charging and one will support data transfer in terms of if you plug a USB in with media, you'll be able to listen to audio from there. Talking about some of the buttons here as well, we do have your drive train button here, or drive and train button. You press that and you can switch between different terrains like snow, mud and sand. Or on drive, you have eco, sport, and you also have my drive. And you have your hill descent control here as well, and auto hold. So that's pretty much in a nutshell all the buttons that you get in that area, and your start stop button is here. They've moved the gear shifter to the steering, so that way you create more space here. And below this is another cubby hole, which means you can store stuff underneath there as well. You got two cup holders, and what I also love about here is this armrest can also open on either direction, so the passengers in the back can open and get into it, and the passenger in the front can also open that and get into that compartment there, which is pretty cool. So that's pretty much what you get in terms of this area. So diving deeper into the infotainment system, you can slide across. Very responsive, as you can see there, no issues at all. And you have plenty of options available. You have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto wirelessly as well. And then if we go into settings, we can see some of the driver assistance options available. So if you go into driver assistance here, we can see this, they've laid it out nicely here. One of the things that you have to keep turning on and off, if you like to do so, is your speed limit warning. So that will always come on at the start of your journey, and then you can turn that off if you want. You got driver attention warning, you got all your driver safety stuff like forward safety, forward cross traffic safety, and lane keep and all that kind of stuff. Loads of options there to keep you nice and secure on the road. You got your parking options as well, so all your sensors and cameras and stuff like that. You've got driving convenience, so things like motorway, drive assist, and all that stuff's here. So this comes with the ultimate version, so do bear that in mind. But there's a lot of stuff that comes as standard as well in the premium version as well, which is something that's amazing about this car, especially at the price point. But that's pretty much some of the stuff you can do here, like sitting position as well. You can change it, warmer, ventilation stuff. You can change all the lighting in the car as well in terms of like ambient lighting and all that kind of stuff. All that's there for you to sort of play around with and see what you prefer. And we go into sound system. In sound system, you can go into equalizer and change all these things like bass, mid-range, treble, etc., and some of the other settings that's available there to you. So pretty much a lot of stuff here. So you got your head-up display settings over there as well, so you can go through that and adjust the information that's displayed in terms of content selection and so on and so forth. What I love is whatever you're doing on here, there's always information here about your music that you're playing, or if it's maps and stuff like that, it will always show some sort of information there to still keep you going if you're still messing with some of the settings on here. So pretty cool there. But yeah, very responsive, very straightforward, and I like what they've done here. Over on the instrument cluster, again, 12.3-inch display there, nice and big. To the right of it, here, there's this little area which you can stick stuff on, like your family photo or whatever. It's magnetic, I believe, in this as well. But yeah, in this area, one of the things I love is when you use the indicator, that will change to your cameras for your blind spots and stuff on either side, so left or right indicator. And on here, you can change the view as well to display different things, like maps and lane keep stuff, and you can scroll up and down to see different information as well. So you can change all that view there to suit whatever your preference is, and you got your mode button on the steering as well. But very straightforward again, but very sharp. I love what they've done. And head-up display, like I said earlier, is very sharp as well to see visually when you're driving on the road. Moving on to how this drives and what it feels like to drive this on the road. Like I said already, this is a 1.6 turbo hybrid engine, a small battery in there, and you can still do energy recuperation in here using the paddle shift. For example, you can change to different levels. You can almost one pedal drive it as well. But some of the things I love about this car are plenty actually when it comes to the driving experience. So when we talk about the steering feel, it feels well connected to the road. As you turn in, the ratio is really nice as well. You're not over twisting or overreaching to be able to turn to the car to point it exactly where you want to go. For such a big car like this, a 7-seater is surprisingly nimble and agile. And I don't use those words lightly when it comes to cars or just even motorbikes, for example, when I review them. Because honestly, driving down these twisty roads around Wales, and to the extent where the roads are unpredictable, you don't know what's about to come at you on this road, this car, even with the weight, is able to just go exactly where you point it to, which for me was a pleasant surprise. I was a bit like, when I got in the car, I was a bit like, this is going to be so heavy that it's just going to be shifting that weight to the left, to the right as you're turning and stuff. But actually, the body lean is pretty much under control. You don't get that much lean on the car, which is incredible that they've been able to do that. I don't know how that would feel on, higher speeds, which I haven't been able to do much of here, if that would feel any different. But at low speeds, it works really well, which is honestly just, for me, very surprising. The 0 to 62 figures is around 9.6 seconds. You're talking around 118 miles per hour top speed, and you got decent amount of torque in there as well to be able to, get yourself off the line. You got enough speed to get yourself off the line and just move at motorway speeds as well. There's no issues in those areas at all. Visibility is great as well around the car. How comfortable it is? Very comfortable. It just feels really nice and smooth on the road. My only qualms with the car though, with the Santa Fe, is literally just that engine noise, because it's not that pleasant when it comes to the way that it shifts the gears. As soon as you put your foot down to go off, it just sounds like you're really stressing out the engine, which sometimes can feel uncomfortable. So I hope you just pump up the music so you don't have to hear it. That's another way around it. But that would be my only qualms with it. But I think for a 7-seater though, they've done really well. Plenty of space, plenty of tech in this ultimate version. This might actually be the one to go for, because the calligraphy version, as much as is up there, it's just things around the trim in terms of the design. So you don't really get much more for your money. So that's something to bear in mind. If you go for the captain sitting, configuration, that will cost you a bit extra as well. So you might as well stick to that 7-seater option in the car. So overall, for me to summarize, this is a great driving experience. I've enjoyed it. It's very comfortable in here. It feels very premium in here. I think the only thing that might hold people back is literally just the brand name. So, and when you start to sit in it and go for a drive and experience it yourself, all that goes out the window, because you realize actually for the price that you're paying for this, you are getting a whole lot for your money. And this will give cars like your Skoda Kodiaq a run for its money in terms of the overall package and what you get inside of this thing. And honestly, head-up display, Bose sound system, honestly, it's just amazing. All that we're missing now is just a seat massage, and we're good to go. But other than that, I think they've done a great job. And if you have any questions, guys, let me know in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.